Buckle up, because this is the crisis moment. This is Trump's crisis moment, a tearing apart of his own support base, neocons crawling out from the shadows, the evil, slime, demonic warmongers like Lindsey Graham, now openly steering the United States foreign policy again. Game on, he writes, after the first bombs dropped. Neocon warmongers surrounding President Trump, pressuring him to strike. What will his resolve be? All of this happening while true conservative isolationists, what I call George Washington conservatives, are screaming, stay out of the Middle East. It only hurts the United States. This is the greatest foreign policy test of Trump's entire career. False flag attacks across the United States, threats of sleeper cells, and a narrative being built in real time to push us into war. Just a reminder, Trump's own administration confirmed that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003.
So what happens next will define the Trump presidency, maybe the survival of our republic itself. We'll get into all of that because over the past 24 hours, we've seen a massive escalation in this war. I woke up on this Father's Day, Sunday, to a boatload of news. By the way, happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there. So first, we need to bring you up to speed on the devastating escalation over the past 24 hours in the Israel-Iran war, because it's moving fast and it's changing the entire world order. BRICS nations lining up behind Iran, sending them weapons. Western countries like the United States and the UK and Germany now lining up as expected behind Israel. Iran's capital city on fire this morning. Massive airstrikes in Tehran a few hours ago. 15 airstrikes hit next to Iran's parliament building. They destroyed Iran's IRGC headquarters. The Iranian Intelligence Ministry building in Tehran no longer exists. It's now gone. Then Israel struck Iran's nuclear agency headquarters. The escalation is happening in real time after Iran sent a devastating attack on Israel overnight. I stayed up late watching all the developments in Israel as Iran was attacking and destroying Israel's main missile factory, military installations in Haifa, after Israel struck oil refineries in Iran. Then Iran destroyed Israel's key oil refinery, which supplies over 60% of oil refining capacity to Israel. Hundreds of missiles hitting downtown Tel Aviv, which in many areas turned to rubble. It almost looks like Gaza. It's hard to tell the difference.
Those cars destroyed and debris everywhere.
Now I am the collateral damage. I look horrified at what happens in Gaza, but now it's like in my back door.
Israel says targeting and assassinating Iran's leader Khamenei is now on the table. I'm sure Iran feels that same way about Netanyahu. Meanwhile, Iran says no peace talks. Iran says that's canceled, done. I know that's shocking, right? You mean you don't want to have talks with the people that just killed your top military commanders, assassinated your nuclear scientists? Shocking. Why wouldn't you want to sit down and have dinner with those people? Israel, for its part, has now declared full air superiority over Iranian skies, which raised a lot of eyebrows with that statement. Weird, because as UN Weapons Inspector Scott Ritter just posted, if Israel has established air superiority over Iran, how is it that Iran can launch a daylight missile attack on Israel? Good question. There's a lot of propaganda happening right now. And as Colonel McGregor pointed out last night, what Israel wanted was provocation. And they got it. Quote, in less than 18 hours after Israel's surprise attack, Iran responded, firing hundreds of ballistic missiles, including hypersonic missiles, into central Tel Aviv and across Israel. Meanwhile, Israel's Iron Dome failed. Israeli intelligence failed. So now Netanyahu is pleading with Washington to intervene with American military power to rescue Israel from certain defeat, a defeat Netanyahu crafted with encouragement from Washington. So think about that for a second. Israel knew it couldn't beat Iran, and any military expert worth his salt knows that unless they're lying to you. So this was all planned. Launch the attack and then beg Trump, beg Germany, beg the UK to come in and help. More on that part of the story in a second, because this was a trap set for Trump, and he walked right into it. Or he walked into it intentionally. As Daniel Escalation said, this was all done to entrap President Trump, forcing him into this war. Watch.
But Israel's strike on Iran, and I'll get to Trump in a second, Trump's helplessness, Trump's confusion, The split in MAGA, where the overwhelming majority is against Israel in general and against Christian Zionism of these neocons, we're due, unfortunately, and I really do mean unfortunately, Alex, Trump has fallen into a real trap, and from all sides. He did not get out of the war with Russia and Ukraine. He got involved in the war with Iran on the side of Israel.
And guess what? Iran fell for it. Then they were attacked, and Iran didn't take 2 months to respond like the last time. Iran immediately launched a massive retaliatory barrage, hundreds of ballistic and cruise missiles targeting key Israeli military sites. This was Friday night. They even hit Israel's version of the Pentagon.
Trey, I know they don't want you to show it, but how badly was their version of the Pentagon, Israel's version of the Pentagon, hit?
Footage from Iranian state TV shows missiles lighting up the sky, hitting targets all over Israel. So much for that Iron Dome, or the Arrow system, or any of the other systems that Israel has. As Colonel Mack pointed out, it failed. How did it fail? Well, we now know that Iran launched hundreds of 20 to 30-year-old missiles. The Iron Dome went after them. And then, while they were going after the 30-year-old missiles, Iran launched this. State-of-the-art new missiles, hypersonic missiles that flew right through Israel's defenses, hitting targets like this one in Haifa. You can see the older missiles dancing up in the Iron Dome skies, and then watch the new missiles hitting their targets. Nearly all missiles that Iran fired in this wave were 20 to 30-year-old models. Israel can't stop them, and oh, by the way, no one in the West can stop them either. Can you imagine one of these hypersonic missiles hitting a U.S. aircraft carrier? Sitting ducks. And late Friday, Iran's elite Quds force broadcast a video of direct hits on Israeli air bases. This wasn't symbolic, it was overwhelming. Multiple air bases destroyed. It wasn't broadcast on Israeli TV. And sources are telling Redacted that Iran struck targets in Israel, killing some of Israel's top scientists as well in this attack that you're seeing here on your screen. So, in other words, you kill our scientists, we kill your scientists. This is descending into chaos. Israel working around the clock to dig bodies out of rubble in Tel Aviv. Iran digging bodies out of rubble in Tehran. So in war, no one wins. No one. Meanwhile, Russia and China have condemned Israel's actions, calling them perverted and not remotely self-defense. And North Korea also now throwing its support behind Iran, saying they will come to Iran's defense. Great. They've warned that continued strikes will be interpreted as illegal aggression. So what will Russia and China do now? Remember, Iran is a big ally. China gets most of its oil from Iran. Will Russia and China just allow their ally Iran to collapse into a heap of rubble? No. And that brings us to the domestic side of the crisis. Back here in the United States, mainstream media, along with paid shills, have begun ramping up talking points, warning that Iranian sleeper cells are right now inside the United States, waiting to launch a terror attack on all of us. Now, if that sounds familiar, it should. Former CIA officer Larry Johnson says, quote, "It's the same script they've used for Iraq, the exact same one. Plant fear, talk about weapons or sleeper cells, push the president into war." Does anyone remember the anthrax scare? The yellow cake uranium lie, the chemical weapons hoax in Syria, weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, the babies in incubators in Iraq?
While I was there, I saw the Iraqi soldiers come into the hospital with guns. They took the babies out of the incubators, took the incubators, and left the children to die on the cold floor.
Yeah, all of these were lies. All of these used as justification for war.
One small problem. There never were any incubator baby deaths. Not one. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation's investigative flagship program, The Fifth Estate, reveals the girl to be the Kuwaiti ambassador's daughter, given her lines and coached in acting by the giant American PR firm Hill & Knowlton.
Now they're talking about Iranian Hezbollah operatives in Michigan, New York, sleeper cells. It's the Neocon playbook, and it's being run again, just with new villains. Turns out this weekend, America's biggest threat is leftist Democrats who carried out assassinations against lawmakers in Minnesota.
We don't have any direct links. However, there were some flyers that said no kings within the suspect vehicle. And as we know, the planned events throughout the state of Minnesota today is a no kings event.
Opening fire on LAPD, shooting people in the middle of Salt Lake City.
my God, that's a gun. That's a gun.
Wasn't Iranian sleeper cells, it was leftist nut jobs and Antifa. Meanwhile, inside Trump's own movement right now, there is a war underway. On the one side, the Neocon deep state faction, Lindsey Graham, Mike Pompeo, and now even General Mike Flynn, calling for all-out war with Iran. Flynn said yesterday, quote, "Trust me, Iran is in big trouble." Neocon Nikki Haley telling Trump to finish them off. Then on the other side, old school conservatives, constitutionalists, anti-war libertarians, Ron Paul types, people who remember George Washington's farewell address when Washington said, quote, "It's our true policy to steer clear of permanent alliances with any portion of the foreign world against the insidious wiles of foreign influence," end quote. In short, stay out of their wars. Stay out of their traps. But that warning is being ignored. And at the center of it all is Trump. And Trump is trapped right now. Maybe, just maybe, he wants to be trapped. All part of the plan, perhaps. We now know that during the supposed nuclear peace talks with Iran, Trump was secretly coordinating with Israel behind the scenes to prepare for this strike. According to diplomatic insiders, Iran was blindsided. Trump was even sending Hellfire missiles to Israel 2 days before the attack. What the shit? Iran says that Trump betrayed them, and they called off the nuclear talks. And then Trump posted this on Truth Social yesterday saying he, along with every member of his administration, wants peace with Iran. Really? Okay. I really want to be friends with you, but first let me kill your kids. How's that going to go? Not good. Tucker Carlson wrote on Twitter, if Trump was helping Israel plan this strike while pretending to hold peace talks with Iran, then this is one of the most dishonest acts of his presidency. Remember, Tucker Carlson campaigned for Trump, even helped Trump get elected. It also turned out that any rift between Netanyahu and Trump was total BS, all a fake story to lull Iran into a false sense of security about a peace deal. Trump is now at a crisis moment. So what happens next? Well, with peace talks off the table, Iran threatening further retaliation, and neocons openly demanding military action, this is the powder keg moment. We are standing on the edge of World War III. And the person being squeezed from both sides right now is Trump, surrounded by people like Mike Flynn, Lindsey Graham, Israeli advisors pushing him towards escalation, and then on the other side by millions of betrayed supporters who thought America first meant staying out of these foreign entanglements. Trump was confronted by a reporter about why he's putting Israel first and not America first, and Trump said, quote, "Well, considering that I'm the one that developed America first, and considering that the term wasn't used until I came along, I think I'm the one that decides." In other words, America first can mean anything neocons want it to mean, anything Trump decides that it means. Side note, America First was used long before Trump came along. Campaign posters for Republicans used it starting in the mid-1800s. And before World War II, the America First Committee laid it out to prevent us from getting into foreign wars in Europe. So Trump didn't create it, of course. So what now? MAGA supporters are watching the man they voted for behave like another Bush-era warmonger. So does Trump truly want peace, or is he doing the bidding of neocons and warmongers? This is a defining moment, not just for Trump, but for the entire America First movement. The choice between him is clear. Follow the neocons into war, or return to the non-interventionist George Washington vision that got him elected in 2016, where he stood up to Jeb Bush.
Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East.
One path leads to destruction. The other leads to national survival. So that's the crazy news update part of today's video on this Father's Day. Now I want to talk to you about today's sponsor, which is tied directly to everything we're just talking about. With the BRICS nations buying up as many precious minerals as they can, throwing their support right now behind Iran. This week, gold closed out the week at the highest ever level. We are experiencing precious metals bull market right now. I'm so thrilled about this because I see the trend. I see what's happening with the US dollar, government currencies right now. They're in a downward spiral. We've been warning about this for years on the show. I mean, I'm not excited about the US dollar collapsing, but we've been preparing. If you've been watching my show for years, you know that we've been preparing. Record sums are now flowing into gold this year. It's unprecedented. Take a look at this. Gold is up 27.7% in 2025, while the dollar is down nearly 9%. The dollar is trading at a 3-year low right now. That's how tremendous this trend is right now. And I don't remember it ever being like this. But the biggest story, in my opinion, is silver's ascent to 13-year highs as we speak, alongside the breakout in mining stocks, as represented by the GDXJ index, which is up nearly 45% so far in 2025. The dollar right now is having a dismal 2025. And in my opinion, it's about to get worse. Take a look at the latest price projections from the world's largest investment banks just around gold. Take a look at JP Morgan. Gold, Q4 2025. Average price, $3,675 an ounce. That's a projection. And expecting to rise to $4,000 an ounce by Q2 of early part of next year, 2026. $4,000 an ounce. Long-term potential could reach $6,000 an ounce. Unbelievable. And then gold here, 2025, ending with the forecast raising to $3,700 an ounce. By mid-2026, expected to reach $4,000 an ounce. Again, these are multiple analysts. And here's Bank of America. 2026 forecast $4,000 an ounce. Silver, 2026 forecast at $40 an ounce, with the potential to outperform gold by the end of this year. Therefore, with all of these powerful trends in place, when I see a gold company that I love literally trading at its lows for 2025 right now, with insiders and co-founders are buying up shares like crazy seemingly every week, they've accumulated more than $1.2 million worth, yes, of buying up their own shares at a pace I have personally never encountered in my life with any other gold company. I wanted to share it with you. So today's sponsor is ASCAP Ventures. Here's the ticker on your screen. As you can see on the screen, it's trading at an absolute low for the year. Mario and Tyron, the co-founders of this company, are currently collectively accumulating millions of shares of ASCAP Ventures. They're buying up millions of shares of their own company. So just in the past few days, on top of the $1.2 million worth of shares already purchased by management, in June 2025 alone, Mario Vitro bought 140,000 shares. Tyron Breitenbach bought 100,000 shares. Blake McLaughlin, the VP of Exploration, bought 30,000 shares. Robert Dubois bought 300,000 shares in June. And look at this. Robert Dubois bought 300,000 shares in June at 17 cents Canadian. That's above the current price. Take a look at this on the screen. Again, I'm personally astounded by this. I don't remember seeing any other company whose insiders are buying stock at this scope. So when a private equity fund dissolved its assets and began liquidating, Mario Vitro and Tyron Breitenbach noticed that the fund owned one of the largest undeveloped gold deposits in Nevada. It was just sitting in their portfolio. So right before gold's breakout over $2,000 an ounce, they were able to acquire the Converse gold deposit from them. Think about that. Because the price is now up over 70% since they bought it. So the timing worked out incredibly well for them. Converse is ASCAP Ventures' flagship gold deposit. It is the largest gold deposit. We're seeing more and more mergers and acquisitions, which is the reason I'm taking time to address this point. The Converse gold deposit contains 5.57 million ounces of gold equivalent resource, measured and indicated at 0.525 grams per ton, plus an additional 0.42 million ounces of the inferred at 0.528 grams per ton. I know that's a lot of technical jargon, but it's astonishing. I want you to go through the numbers yourself. You can. I'll have links in the description. You can study it for yourself. So at today's market cap of just $34 million and with approximately $10 million in the treasury, this deposit is valued at only $5 an ounce of gold equivalent resource. So think about that. The valuation stands in stark contrast to comparable peers in the mining industry, which are valued at an average of $40 an ounce. So the difference is 8x or 87% less. And once again, the company is currently trading at its lowest price in 2025. So guys, do your own homework on this. I'll have links in the description below so you can dive more deeply into their projects. All of their financials are public. Study this. Look at it closely. Pay attention to what's happening right now macroeconomically around the world with all of these countries buying up gold and silver like it's going out of style, because it's not going out of style. Thank you guys. Happy Father's Day to all of you, and we'll see you back here real soon.